do feel like I'm going to have to start by apologising for all the puns in this. AEW's big Rampage show in Chicago is less than a week away, and it is only the second in the infancy and new life that is AEW Rampage, set ready to take on the WWE giant that is SmackDown, and this week particularly taking on the giant that is the go-home SmackDown for WWE SummerSlam, and potentially taking on SummerSlam itself. How are they going to take on that giant? How are they going to potentially corrode your excitement for SummerSlam in the face of something else? Well, that's quite simple. Not only are they trying to deliver a good show, but they also have a very big debut up their sleeve that we can't really call a surprise anymore. I'm going to share some genuine details as to what's going to happen on AEW Rampage in this video today. The big question, as we know, is regarding one man, CM Punk. That's what you're here for, that's what you're going to get. Chick Magnet Punk is heavily rumoured to be appearing at AEW Rampage in Chicago, with AEW very possibly intentionally leaking a report stating that he was preparing for that return and that they would have the voice of the voiceless ready to become elite in the days to come. So, what's the plan? When and where will we be seeing Charles Montgomery Punk? Hi everyone, I'm Tom Colohue. I'm the guy telling you months ahead of time what the matches will be on SummerSlam. I'm the guy telling you exactly what is happening with NXT and why it is happening. And you can subscribe right here on the Tom Colohue YouTube channel or follow across at twitch.tv/Tom Colohue to get those details days, weeks, sometimes months ahead of anyone else using our interactive news show Spoiler Warning. Today we're going to be talking about probably the biggest piece of wrestling news of maybe the last year, and that is the return of Kung Pao Chicken Punk. Crazy mother flipper Punk has been out of wrestling for a long time, 7.5 years to be rough and exact at the same time. Recently, as in this time last year, he was having a brief flirtation with a return, not with the WWE but with AEW already. Something has clearly changed. Now, he was negotiating pretty much the entire last year with both the WWE and AEW, but he kept moving the goalposts for WWE, frustrating them. I've mentioned before that CM Punk seems to exist purely to piss off Vince McMahon nowadays, and that continues to be the case. So what's changed on the AEW front? Why is he suddenly interested and invested there now when he wasn't previously? Money. It's money. Let's get to the meat of the situation here, and I'm going to throw a brief spoiler warning in here, but we all know why you're watching this video. CM Punk has been in consistent negotiations with AEW for almost a year now. The plan is for CM Punk to debut at AEW Rampage Chicago 2021. AEW have been intentionally leaking reports to whip up support and whip up interest in the fact that CM Punk will be debuting at AEW Rampage Chicago 2021. The entire launch of Rampage was built around the fact that CM Punk would be debuting on that show. What's changed for Chop Mooey Punk isn't just money, though it is also money. It's also a softening in his overall stance, and I think a large part of that comes down to realising that other companies weren't as interested as he thought they were. That includes the WWE, but also kind of includes the UFC as well, where he didn't really impress as he would have hoped to. The original reason that the negotiations of AEW didn't go well is not just Punk's interest in other companies, including WWE's Backstage show, but also the fact that CM Punk, bit of a flight risk. To be clear, he's still a bit of a flight risk, and by a bit I mean a lot. The last time I was able to get information on this directly was a couple of days ago, where I was told that Curly Merkin Punk has not signed an official contract as of yet, despite being expected to debut within the week, and despite the fact that they literally booked an arena in Chicago because they knew CM Punk was going to be there. Rampage is built around this guy, and he hasn't signed a contract yet. He's still a flight risk, let's not pretend otherwise. That said, AEW, and in particular Tony Khan, are confident that they have their man. That's a very different situation than it was last year. So confident in fact that they feel brave enough to book this arena for the show. They've been talking to Punk for well over a year, and they've seen his mood change, and in addition to Punk they've been talking to Daniel Bryan, Adam Cole and Brock Lesnar, even if it's just in passing with no official contract offers. The talks have been there, and that's the AEW style. Not to have anything formal or official, but to have lots of conversations. While we know that Punk is a flight risk, they're absolutely certain now that they've nailed him down and he isn't going anywhere else. My personal suspicion is that he will be making his appearance at AEW Rampage, likely at the end of the show, where he will be formally signing his contract, much like Fuego del Sol did last week. Come and Mingle Punk will be appearing at AEW Rampage Chicago 2021. It's easily the biggest wrestling news in the industry of the last year, and it's a piece of news that we all need to be paying attention to, even if we're not AEW fans, because it could genuinely signal a shift in the landscape to the level of Jon Moxley's move. AEW have been raining blow onto blow onto blow on WWE recently, and the WWE, much like Roman Reigns in a promo segment with John Cena, has been largely shrugging them off and not really feeling them. This would be a heavy blow. This would hit hard. This might even make Vince McMahon watch an installment of AEW Rampage, though he'd likely only watch for 10 minutes and then get bored and turn it off because it's Vince McMahon, he's not actually a fan of wrestling. Initial plans for Punk involve working with a number of people to elevate them. Darby Allin is someone that Punk is very interested in working with, but Punk also wants to work with names such as Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy to try and elevate them to the next level, and also because he believes he can have very good matches and natural chemistry with them. Most exciting for fans though is the idea that Cock Money Punk is going to be going up against the company's best and brightest top talent. People like Kenny Omega, people like Jon Moxley, not so much people like Chris Jericho. We've seen a variety of Chris Jericho CM Punk feuds in the past, but the top level talent that are already established and or are former champions. This naturally will include Cody Rhodes, although he's not really there at the moment. Punk's interest in former WWE stars such as Matt Hardy and Christian is relatively low, but he's still interested in certain people who have been or spent time in WWE, such as Jon Moxley. Punk doesn't want to tread water, doesn't want to do things that he's done before, which is why a feud of Moxley is different to a feud to Dean Ambrose, whereas a feud of Matt Hardy is still kind of the same as a feud of Matt Hardy. Those feuds with firmly established stars will take AEW to the next level. AEW was supposed to be one thing, but the arrival of the name Jon Moxley in the first shows really did set a tone going forwards. They've picked up a number of people since, they've generated a lot of excitement. CM Punk is the next big step. If you're excited for the arrival of Choo Choo Metaphor Punk, or you have more CM puns to share, please do drop them in the comments below. Click like on this video and subscribe if you haven't to help me try to get this channel monetized so that I can afford to live. And be sure to check out the live shows at twitch.tv/Tom Colohue for more breaking exclusive news that takes days, weeks or months to be confirmed and reported anywhere else. My track record, if you follow this YouTube, is exemplary. I've been Tom Colohue. Thank you for watching.